I asked my followers a simple question: what's the biggest challenge they face on their art journey? And the answer of the majority was the one that I myself struggle with the most, and it's as simple as this: I do not have time to create. So let's discuss how to manage your time as an artist. And just to set the record straight, this doesn't come from someone who is working full-time as an artist and gets to paint from sunrise till dawn. I have 2 kids. The younger one is 1 year old. I also run a studio, which is a small business, teach workshops almost every week. I have 2 Patreon communities, a YouTube channel, and always at least one side project on top of all of that. This painting that I am creating in this video is an illustration for a book that I just finished, 9 illustrations for on the side of all that. So I guess I will have a few tricks to share with you. This video is for those of you that want to create but feel like circumstances don't allow for this very much. Because if you are in this position, then you might feel sad and unfulfilled. I know I do when I can't find enough time and space to paint. But also, please don't forget that what I'm offering in this video is my personal experience and point of view, and you have to always decide for yourself what best suits your lifestyle. So first of all, there is no such thing as not having time. We all have equal amount of time every day, and that is 24 hours. However, different people spend these hours very differently. Part of this time is completely outside of our control, like time for sleeping, time when you need to be at work. If you have a full-time job, that is something else than art. Or when you're a student, those hours that you need to be in class is time outside of your control. To give you more examples, if you are taking care of someone else, we have a baby at home and certain amount of time per day is needed to take care of her, which is also outside of my control. These hours are non-negotiable, there is nothing to be managed here. But most of us have the rest of our time in our control, and we decide what we do with it based on our life priorities. Sometimes it doesn't even feel like it's your decision, but you have to be conscious about it. And this exercise might help you find where what you do with your time isn't aligned with your life priorities. First of all, write down what are those priorities that you wish to maintain in your life. This will vary for different people significantly. For example, main areas that I try to maintain during my week are family. I'm either spending time with them or running errands for them, then keeping household in order, my work, and that divides within creating my art, connecting with my audience, and then keeping studio in order. There are areas that I do not maintain as much, but they still occupy a small amount of time during week in my life, and that is entertainment and then friends. For other person who doesn't have a family but is a student, those divisions will look completely different, but don't underestimate how important it is to make that list and see it black and white in front of you when you're trying to establish if making art even made that cut and is important for you in some way. Because you finding time for it only comes from you making conscious decision that creating has a meaning, not as a vague goal that you set for your future self when you have time to kill during retirement. And I hope that you already see where I'm going with this. Alright, we established that creating is important for us and that we want to make more space for it. The balance we try to maintain between the established areas of your life is not working when there is too much of one thing and too little of another equally important to us, and that's when the emotional distress starts. For me, common pitfalls are the house and the studio maintenance. Those two are like a giant black hole which eats up all my time without giving back the satisfaction. And a good example of this is cooking. I can spend 3 hours cooking dinner which is gone within 20 minutes and people are hungry again in 2 hours. Or chores that every mom is overly familiar with. I have 2 tips for you here. First one is multitasking, and I don't mean the kind that drives me mentally crazy when I'm trying to edit a video with a screaming baby in the same room, because that really isn't good for your mental health. Certain tasks need your full concentration to do and need enough space and quiet, and unless those conditions are met, it is actually frustrating and takes much more time to complete such task. But other tasks can be done at the same time comfortably. To give you examples, I never go to kitchen without an audiobook or podcast for artists, because these tasks don't occupy my brain fully equally so I can be learning, strategizing, planning, imagining what I'm going to paint or what kind of video I want to create while cleaning. A huge part of my connecting with my audience is done on the go. Often when I have a video premiere, I am outside with a stroller. I reply to comments on my phone while baby is happily looking around the park. Often I reply to comments also when I'm standing in the line in post office or while waiting at the doctor's office. I do not ever reply to comments when I'm in my studio painting. That is, protected time and replying to comments, however urgent they sound, would distract me. But combining tasks that are more or less automatic with those that require your mental attention but not your hands as much can be very productive. Multitasking doesn't directly solve your problem with creating art straight away, but gives you more of that protected time when you need your full concentration to paint or draw. It can free up your mental space for moments when you actually can sit down and quietly engage in painting or drawing, because you won't be tempted to waste that time to reply to your emails or search for inspiration. And by the way, putting together a Pinterest board is also a thing that you can do while multitasking. It can be done on the go, on your phone, which is what I often do. I don't know if you use Pinterest boards, but I do use them a lot for inspiration and reference pictures. And I found trying to put together a Pinterest board or search for references during the actual painting session is one of the worst time wasters ever. So I do my best to prepare this beforehand while I'm either playing with the baby or on my phone running errands. Next tip is to not do things that aren't worth doing. This is a hard one because each of you will assign different level of importance to a chore or a task that became a habit of yours. But I still suggest you write down the list of tasks that you do every week, or just track them down for a while and then look at the list and decide how important they are to be done at this scale. Or maybe if there's a way to do them in a shorter amount of time. Maybe you heard of Parkinson's law, which is a productivity principle, and it says work expands to fill the time allotted for its completion. Ever since I heard about it, I started to notice how I approach completing certain household chores, because this really cannot be applied for creating art itself as much, more like to free yourself up for it. But it's true when I say to myself that I have to clean up the kitchen, for example, but I give myself 1 hour to do it. I often focus on the important things that need to be done and not play around with arranging everything so that it looks like in a magazine. I hope there is at least one person out there that can relate to this. The point of this task is to clean the kitchen, not to have bits of food where they shouldn't, or a mess that isn't hygienic. We have 2 cats, so it's really crucial to maintain hygiene around the house. But when I don't set a time limit, which I didn't yesterday, I spent 4 hours in there, and when I left, the kitchen looked like it was ready for a photo shoot, and it was way over the top. I didn't even notice it was so late because I was essentially just playing around, and then I arrived in the studio 2 hours late, and that's why I don't have a Patreon video finished today. The fact is, nobody's going to come photograph our kitchen, and since I'm gone the entire day today with only my husband being at home with kids, it will be messy again when I get home, and so I view a lot of these house chores as absolute time wasters. Another example, I don't iron our clothes while most people in our town do. My clothes aren't perfectly straight because of it, but I work alone, so who cares? Another principle you might be able to use if you live with different people is delegation. I learned long ago to split my work between not only husband and me, but also assign certain amount of tasks to our 13-year-old daughter. She helps a lot around the house and learns to take care of things at the same time. To sum this up, does your floor really need to be this clean every single day, and do you absolutely have to do all the chores by yourself? Maybe realizing how much time it takes and how shortly it lasts will make you reconsider doing this less frequently, or talk to your partner or roommate and try to split the work more equally so that you can free yourself up for creation. Now that we established that creating is important for us and also do certain tasks more efficiently, next step is to create a dedicated space for art. When you finally have time to create but don't have your materials and a bit of space ready, then you're just going to spend all that time looking for stuff and figuring out where to sit. Finding dedicated space might be hard for some of you. I remember those times when I lived alone with my first daughter in basically one room and my art studio was just our kitchen. And I might do a different video to show you a minimal watercolor setup that takes up the smallest amount of space and doesn't break the budget, but here I just want to encourage you to find a box where you can fit your materials and a board that you can use as table and clean up and remove once you are done. The point is to have everything at the ready as your protected time for painting and drawing is approaching. My protected time are 3 or 4 hours every afternoon after my husband gets home from work. I can go to my studio and paint and film. This is the time that I don't want to get distracted too much. I'm allowed to sit down and actually create. No engaging with my audience here unless I'm filming a real-time tutorial for my patrons with commentary. Then I paint and talk as if people are actually in the same room with me, but when I don't need to comment throughout the video, I just listen to audiobooks while I paint, and those are the best moments. To sum up this tip, find a block of protected time for you to create that is as long as possible, and then you do everything in your powers to shield yourself from distractions so you can really sit down and enjoy your art making. There is a lot to be said on top of all this, but this video would go on for ages. For example, it's important to make the task manageable, which means that if you only have a few hours per week to create, what works for me is to do small formats. Small formats teach you technique but also composition, use of color, and especially watercolor technique is awesome for not taking too long. So when I'm painting for 3 hours every day, it is quite manageable for me to finish a small study at the end of painting session, which is very motivating and allows for explorations and even search for your own artistic voice. I would not start an oil painting this year. That would potentially take me 2 or 3 weeks to finish. Instead, I opt out for sketchbooking, even following classes of other creators. If I want to try something new and fun, I will not fight the fact that I don't have 8 hours a day to do larger works right now, but rather try my best to use what I have to its fullest. There will be some of you that are in really difficult life situations right now, and the amount of time that you have control over is so low that it barely allows you to take a shower or eat. I've been there for a few months when the baby was born, and those first months were nerve-wracking. But even then, it was manageable to find 10 minutes a day to put the pencil on a page and do some scribbles or sketch an eye or something. Even when you really can't do the fabulous technique you wanted to try or even do watercolors, try to find a super small sketchbook and a pencil and place it somewhere nearby so that you can, if nothing else, just do a quick 10 minutes drawing without judgment, just to keep in touch with your inner artist, because this is food for our soul, and if we deny it the manner that it deserves, then we feel that strange pain that only artists can feel when they don't do the work for long, and that in the end makes us thrive and smile and feel fulfilled when we finally can express ourselves. But maybe that's just my point of view. My painting process generally makes me happy, and I can feel it when I am unable to spend time doing it every single day. And so those 10 minutes during your very busy day will make a difference and you'll feel it. So many more thoughts to be said, but I ran out of time. Probably will have to adjust my priorities and make longer videos. No, seriously, I want to thank my patrons because they help me run this channel and allow me to spend time creating this content. Also, I posted process photos and more about this illustration to my Patreon in case you were curious about it. If you found this video helpful in any way, please let me know and give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.